jurisdictional stability in most countries is low, right? However, here are the reasons why Craiova or Romania may actually be an up-and-coming, stable, sticky destination in the EU for your business. Hello and welcome back to the Traveling Reports. Today we're going to go over why Craiova, Romania is an extremely stable destination that is extremely interesting from a tax perspective as well as a business perspective. While I think that perhaps it's not as good for remote work as places like Iași or Bucharest or places in Cluj-Napoca, I think that Craiova is an extremely good destination for construction. Now, who would need construction? Why would I hire some Romanian to do my construction? Well, I think that realistically, for those not invested in physical assets, there would be no reason to hire a construction worker from Romania. But for me, personally, I invest in physical assets. I invest in places that need upkeep. And for me, I wouldn't hire a construction worker from Iași. No offense to the people of Iași. They just don't have a history, as deep a history of construction works. But Craiova is the top tier, upper echelon of construction outsourcing, and so, of course, construction is great. Additionally, if you need an engineer, I wouldn't go to Iași. I may go to Bucharest. I may go to Cluj, but I would not go to these places because they're too expensive. So where do I go instead? Craiova. And so, especially if you are working cross-border between Romania and Bulgaria, Craiova is the ideal destination from that perspective. And of course, while I think that there are some benefits, especially in management, to hiring in Bucharest or Cluj, I believe that laborers, day laborers, or people that are managers, not C-suite, but managers, Craiova is an amazing destination, and especially as the more technical abilities are saturated in Bucharest, as a lot of American companies have already diversified into Bucharest, into Cluj. Iași and Craiova definitely stands out in that regard. And additionally, Craiova is a very family-friendly city. It does have a very Balkan feel to it. So, of course, not everything will be 100%. And especially if you're looking at the quality of infrastructure by the train station, it is not great. And that's okay. I think that realistically, the infrastructure is perhaps rough in comparison to other places. However, something that people don't realize is infrastructure over time can be improved, even by private individuals. So if you're looking to do a public-private partnership, which I will talk more about later, that's a potential here. Now, in Cluj, in Bucharest, you don't get as much of the willing workers for construction, and as that sort of gets saturated anyway, looking into Craiova, they have a Ford plant, which is the main employer here, and then they have smaller construction firms. And so you can get Albanians to come over here as well. You can get highly technically skilled people in Craiova for pennies on the dollar. You can get laborers from Sofia, Bulgaria. It's only about 8 hours away. And so it's with all of this that you can kind of intermarry the cross-disciplinary structure you have. And also, if you want people from Belgrade in Serbia, you can take them over here. So essentially, with Romania, and to a greater extent the region of Sofia, and even down to Plovdiv, I believe that it is an extremely interesting destination, and especially if you are looking at infrastructure place here in the near future, it is going to improve. Not necessarily through state investment, but through the Ford plant investing into Craiova itself. Of course, there is not great English here, and I will do a completely separate video on Craiova English and why perhaps you're not looking at the best quality English anywhere in Craiova. To be honest, even the younger folks don't really know English. However, that's not really something you need, right, when you're dealing with construction. And so, of course, it is a more niche outsourcing destination, and I think that realistically, if you're looking further into cities in Romania, Iași is extremely technically savvy. A lot of people know English, a lot of people work in English. Bucharest is more of the Western orientation. They all know English, they're very fluent in English. They've worked with probably 4 or 5 Western companies before you. Cluj-Napoca, same thing. Timișoara is kind of in the middle of all of those things. And, it has IT, it has construction, it has Western orientation, integration. And so, of course, I will be coming back here to Romania to talk with people in Timișoara as well. However, the life here is very cheap in comparison to what it is in, for example, Bucharest or Timișoara or even Iași. It's about on par with Iași. And for me personally, I prefer Iași, but that's for other reasons. That's, of course, I will get into later with my Versus series, which I will start in entirety on the channel later. However, as the whole ordeal pans out, I believe that Craiova will indeed be a great outsourcing destination for physical labor, as I said. And of course, if you're looking for physical laborers or consulting on business, feel free to reach out to me. We can book a call one-on-one, 15 minutes, absolutely free. And of course, if you're looking for a way to join me on this journey, feel free to subscribe. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a like. If you really liked the video, feel free to share it with your friends. With that said, this has been the Traveling Report, signing off.